What's up? I'm Anthony Armstrong. My name back in the day, a lot of people know me as ADX, and I've been skating right now in January for 50. I'm 50. I'm 57 years old, and I've been skateboarding for 47 years. There we go. And I started, basically started in, well, I don't know when I started. Sometime in the 70s is when I started skateboarding. You know what? I've never been asked that question. I think the thing that really got me started, if I really think back, is back in the day you had these like little TV shows or how to make something cool. Yeah. You had these TV shows or little magazines that show you how to make something cool or something like that. And I think in one of the little magazines, it showed how to make a surfboard on land. So you would take, basically I took like a 2x4 and took a pair of those old steel roller skates and I put them apart and just nailed them on both ends of the 2x4, and that was a skateboard. And I did that to roll around. That's my first, just trying to make something cool. And actually, I like doing it. And about that same time, that's when skateboarding really took off. So after that, I think the 70s skateboarding with Russ Howell and all that picked up, and they started selling skateboards in like, was it Kmart? Yeah, Kmart and stuff like that. And that's when I got like a GT Grimtech, which is the best skateboard ever made compared to a 2x4 and steel wheels. That Grimtech GT was the baddest skateboard ever. I love that thing. It's what I remember when I got my GT Grimtech for the first time. I would sleep with it and like look at it, just look at it over, like, because it was so cool. And now that I'm old, I'm like, that thing was so not cool. But back then it was. I'm not sure what made me like skateboarding so much. I guess it was like, there was always like a little drama in my family. So it's like getting out on a skateboard makes you forget everything. And maybe that's even why I skate so much today, because say if I have any type of drama or whatever, I go skate, and the fact of skateboarding just, it's not the fact of skateboarding, you gotta be on your skills and not fall down. And so, you know, I don't know how to explain it. You don't want to get hurt, so you have to be focused. There we go. And when you're focused, and then if you land like something cool, it feels really good, and you're just skating and you learn a new trick, and it just takes your mind off of everything else. Skateboarding in Oak Cliff is so funny because I tell some people this story and they almost don't believe it, but it's true. Back when we were skating in Oak Cliff, every black kid in my neighborhood skated. Everybody, not one person, everybody skated. And we skated so much, we get the magazines and we would see like they would do slalom contests, and we had our own slalom contest, and then we look at the magazine, they're doing downhill. We're doing downhill. If I gotta stop to say about this one downhill story, we had some hills in parts of Oak Cliff have really steep hills, and we had this one steep hill by the Cedar Crest Golf Course, and it's like 4 or 5 of us started doing downhill. We had our hands going forward, going fast. And back in the day with the ball bearings, the faster you go, you can hear the intensity of the wheels start humming real good. And if you're skateboarding long enough, there's a hum that you hear where you know you can't get off the board. And we were going, and I heard that hum, which means like once you're going that fast, you know you can't get off. And one guy in front, I can't remember his name, but he was always the badass dude, and he was like, he's going for it, and he's pulling off. And then I'm behind him, and I see it happening. It's getting ready to happen. He picks up a little wobble. Then that wobble gets bigger, and boom, once he lays down, it was just like after he hit, all of us went down. And I just remember, the only thing I don't even know, I don't think I got knocked out or anything, but all I remember is crying so hard, I could not even see how to walk. And all of us were just bleeding going home. So anyway, that's why I tell about that one downhill. So all of us skated. I remember one time we were having a skateboard contest, and these cops pulled over. This was back in the day when all the cops were white, you know. It was just like, It's like, that was like the job all the cops had. But no, they didn't pull over to like bug us or nothing. They just pulled over and watched the skateboard. And we just had this skateboard contest, and cop, watched the skateboard and then took off or whatever. Now, here's the part that gets everybody. I had no idea white kids skated in Dallas. It was like all the kids in Dallas I knew were black. And we looked in the magazine, we thought all the white kids were from California to skateboard. So I was really shocked the first, like, when our parents first took us to a skate park, when the first skate parks came around back in the day, this had to be, when the first skate parks came around in the 70s, I guess it was like the mid 70s. There was one area where they just had all these skate parks like Free Flight USA and some other skate parks. And our parents would take us there, and that's the first time we ever seen white kids skating, because we had no idea that white kids skated in Dallas, And the reason we didn't know that, because the neighborhoods were segregated, because all the black people had to live here and all the white people could live there. And our parents didn't tell us the neighborhood was segregated, because how do you tell a black kid, like, well, son, you're segregated? No, they just didn't tell us that, so we never knew it, and we just didn't know what segregation was. Our parents never told us, but when we went to a skate park, I had no idea white kids were skating, and they were good too, because they were skating. The white kids were already skating bowls and stuff, and we were doing downhill, we were doing front-hills, slalom. I could slalom uphill. I was the best slalom guy ever. And then we get to a skate park, they're already doing, doing like snake runs, and they didn't, I think the first bowl I seen really wasn't a bowl. It didn't have coping on it. It was like a bowl and kind of rounded out on the edges. But I remember seeing this one kid do all these airs in this bowl, and he was skating so fast. To this day, I wonder if that was me seeing Jeff Phillips for the first time in the 70s. And then, of course, like after that whole explosion of all the skate parks in Dallas, like I said, it was a Mid-City, USA, and Wizard. And there may be another one. I'm not sure, because that was so long ago. And then skateboarding died and just went out. Except for me, I kept skateboarding. I liked skateboarding so much. At one point, when I kept skateboarding, I was the only person skating. And my best friend, he would do whatever. I don't want to say he would do whatever I do, but my best friend James Johnson, me and him would still skate. I would be having problems with I say, I have a toxic family lifestyle that where I just had to get out, and I would literally go and street skate downtown, probably sometime starting around 11 or 12 o'clock to 2 and 3 in the morning. I would skate by myself, and I never seen anybody skate back then. I'm trying to think what period that was, because there was no one skating but me, and it had to be right in the 80s. Well, no, that was the early 80s, late 70s. I would skate by myself until I guess the early 80s, when I happened upon Skate Time. And that's the first real vert ramp I seen. I went to Skate Time. That was the first vert ramp, and when I saw that, that freaked me out, because I was used to flat ground skating and doing all the handstands and stuff like that. I had no idea that kids were skating transition, because I still remember the first kid I saw skating the clown ramp. He was doing he was just faking back and forth, but he was doing these wall slides, and to me it looked completely like magic. I had what is he doing? And that's my first introduction to a vert ramp, and it was still to this day there's certain things in your life that happen that really stick in your mind. And the first day I seen somebody skating a vert ramp. And I guess before I go any further, when I was doing skating by myself at Redbird Mall, oh my gosh, I don't even know when this was. It had to be the 70s, maybe. Yeah, it had to be 70s. And I found out later, I was buying my skateboard from a skateboard shop in Redbird Mall. And that was Al Coker skateboard shop, who I know now. And I had no idea that was his shop. But I got my first real skateboard. Before Al Coker's shop, I had a GT Grimtech. Then I I had 2 or 3 GT Grim Techs, because over time, you ride them, the wheels will come unloose and the bearings go flying down the street or whatever. When I got to, went to Redbird Mall and saw that skateboard shop there, and man, it was just like it being in heaven, except for those skateboards were more expensive than like the average skateboard. So I don't know how I talked my parents into giving me the money to get a skateboard. I think the best skateboard I got there was a Roco. I think it was a Roco. It was a fiberglass board, but I remember it was ACS trucks with Pure Juice wheels. Man, I love those Pure Juice wheels. And that's what I got that from Al, and I was riding that setup for years, because I think skateboarding died out again to where I was just skateboarding by myself with my Pure Juice wheels until when I went to skate time for the first time, I was still on the fiberglass board with Pure Juice wheels. And I was trying to skate that thing, and I remember being on that first board and looking up, there was already guys dropping in. They didn't like me at all, except for they didn't like me, but at the same time, I was so focused on looking at that transition and wanting to skate the transition. There's this kind of weird fever you get if you're a skateboarder, where somebody could be hurling rocks at you and insults and stuff, but when you hit the transition and you get a good pump going and it feels right, it's just like, for me, it does something to me where I'm just like, it's almost like a drug or something. I don't hear anything else. I'm just trying to hit that transition to get higher. Maybe at some point I get up to the top where all those guys were hurling insults at me. I could maybe drop in someday. But I was still on that board, and some guys would see that like these guys are messing with me or whatever, but they could tell that I could skate. But the deal was, I was a 1970s, skater. I was almost like a guy in a different time warp, like some old dude. He shows up with this old stuff and he's still skating old, is what I was doing. But they could tell, like, even he was skating old stuff, he was good at what he did. So they could tell, like, I really used to skate. So these guys would pop their board. There was 2 guys up there. They would pop their board out. No, it was 3 guys. They'll pop their board out and everybody would stop skating. He pointed at me and I get on the ramp. And I was like, I didn't know if that dude was a bully or something, because he'd come up there and he'd like put his board out and everybody stopped skating. Later on, I found out, no, these guys weren't bullies, they weren't fighters. Those are the top skateboarders out there. Craig Johnson, Jeff Phillips I remember him doing it first. Like, Jeff would see me struggling down there, and these guys that do a snake shit would let me in. He'd pop his board out and they stop. Oh, Jeff's getting on the ramp. And I get on there and they'd be bummed and stuff. So I get on there, do my fakies and try to go high and get off the ramp. There were 3 guys that were really nice to me. Well, 4 guys who was like Craig Johnson, Jeff Phillips, and Dan Wilkes. It's 3 guys. My math is old because I'm old. But so anyway, these guys would put their boards out and brought me into the skateboarding fold, and that was kind of awesome. I say it's awesome now, but back in the day, we were all like teenagers, so it wasn't like that was Dan Wilkes, it wasn't Craig Johnson, they were just regular guys. This is just before they got sponsored, and then about that time, they started getting sponsored, and like 3 of them got sponsored, and it just blew up from there. And that's when that whole 1980s skateboarding just really blew up. And I was with that group, and I got good enough to drop in, and I think probably the only thing that it took me forever to drop in, I was so afraid of dropping in that I just couldn't. I could literally do a backside air waist high from a pump. I could not drop in. So, you fake it and you start doing some carves and stuff, and you just fake it and you pump and do a little air, just get high, because I couldn't drop in. I just could not figure out how to drop in. I was telling my buddy Boogie yesterday, because he can't drop in today, and he's like all bummed about it. And this, guys, I am not making this up. This is how I dropped in for the first time. I was at the clown ramp, put my board out, and I couldn't drop in, and I was panicking all the time, because like I couldn't understand, how can you go from this to that and make it? It's like it didn't make sense. And I got so freaked out, I started talking to myself. I was yelling at myself. I was beating myself. Anthony, drop in. I was screaming. Because, like, how can I not drop in? And this, this has been going on for a while. And this day, I was almost crying because, like, I would not do it. I was, like, crying. I had my eyes closed. Like, I was worried to drop in. With my eyes closed, because I was yelling with my eyes closed, I fell over and dropped in. And I actually made it. I swear. I would have my eyes closed yelling, and I dropped in, I opened my eyes up, I was riding through the flat bottom and jumped off. I swear. And that was my first time dropping in. And it's like, I got back up there. Since I did it again, it was scariest. It was so scary to do it again because I had my eyes open. I had to look at the whole thing. So I dropped in again and made it. And I dropped in 2 more times. It's weird. Like, and about the 5th time, it all clicked and that fear went away. But it's so weird how that fear went away and that one day after I did 4 or 5 drop-ins. But that was the scariest thing I've done up to that point ever, is drop in on the clown ramp. The second scariest thing I've ever tried is try an invert. Never could do inverts. Never gonna. I tried doing an invert, tried to get higher, and you know, some guy was saying when you do an invert, you throw your arms out, grab your board, and you throw your arms out. And once I went to grab my board, threw my arm out, I was upside down, and I reached out for the ramp. There was nothing there. There was nothing there. And all I remember is falling straight down and hitting on my head first and collapsing off my neck and stuff. And that's the last invert I tried. No more. It's never gonna happen, and it didn't happen again. That was done. So ADX was, back when that whole 1980s thing started, it was all about being a punk rock and all this kind of stuff. And it was kind of like the Devo, I don't know if it was Devo Day. There was a style that was like kind of new age back then. People had punk hair and all that stuff. And then there was this other kind of group, like the Zorlak had to be, you know, it seemed like the skateboards that was selling the most there had a skeleton on it or something like that. It had to be something wicked. So my name is Anthony Dwayne Armstrong. And so I was going to use my initials, ADA, American Dental Association. No, they were not going to work. I literally just said like AD and just put an X at the end. And ADX sound, to me, it sounds hardcore. It sounds tough. And that's literally how I came up with the name. It wasn't like, it wasn't really what gave me the idea of putting the X is, a lot of people don't know, I used to fly airplanes, and also I used to build model airplanes. And my favorite airplanes of all time was the X-planes. The planes that went up, the airplanes that went supersonic and all those were called X-planes. So whenever I would do a drawing of a plane or something, I would put X on there. And that's how I actually came up with putting ADX on the end of there. And ADX sounded really good. So that's kind of how I came up with the name. Suny Skateboards, like at the same time I was doing ADX, I was, you know, really good friends with Jeff Phillips. Well, I was friends with all the guys, but Jeff Phillips was into all these crazy toys and all this kind of stuff. And I just happened to be with him one time, and he was into like the Ultraman and all that. But also in his collection, he had this, he had some other Japanese stuff, and I was like, what the heck is that? And it was some Japanese animation, and it's like, back in the day, the first Japanese animation stuff was some of that kind of hentai stuff with the tentacle penises flying and all that. But beyond that, another part of Japanese animation was high-tech stuff. You know, the way the characters, the cars they drew and all that. And Jeff Phillips completely got me into this whole Japanese animation stuff, and I've just been into it ever since. Like he was into the Ultraman and stuff, but I was more into that other culture of the kind of sci-fi Japanese animation stuff. And I love that. And then also I love the way they draw the faces, the hair, the eyes, and everything, and the detail in the way they draw. And I started doing my own drawings. And of course, when the whole punk rock, the whole like ADX thing and skateboard started dying, when I did something else, I'm like, why don't I just do like this whole Japanese animation style stuff? And that's kind of how I started with that. My first character on that also could have got me in trouble was like my favorite like animation of all time back then in those days was a anime called Battle Angel. That it came out of it. I think they had books and stuff like that, but they had this one anime they released called Battle Angel, and that was my favorite character. So on the first Suny shirt I've ever did was a drawing of that character. And then I was talking, I don't know if I was talking to Melvin or somebody else, they go like, you can't put that character on your shirt and call it yours. So I just never thought about like, okay, oh no, you're right. I thought about it, and then I came up with my own characters called the Three Sisters of Suny, and then I started drawing my own characters, and I actually had like a little storyline to try to put with it and stuff like that. Yeah, so whenever I would sell a board or whatever, I would do a little illustration of the faces I would want on there, and each one of them had a name, and I would try to do like a little storyline behind it. Basically, it was the Three Sisters of Suny, and now, girls out here, don't beat me up today. This was like a male chauvinist society back then. I know we were male chauvinist pigs back then. You know, now we've grown up. Okay, we've grown up. So anyway, my characters were three chicks. They hung out with skateboarders, and the way I was trying to do my storyline is they would protect the skaters would skate, and some thugs would come try to jump the skaters, and these three chicks would come out and kick their asses, you know, because they was their boyfriend. That sounds like a great storyline, but except for, like, now that I really think about it, why would a girl beat some guy skating? Because she might want to skate, you know? I should have been thinking about that then. But I think later on, there's this one character that was like a skater chick, but that was like later on. But anyway, that was the premise behind my kind of like the Three Sisters of Suny and my characters. But I like to draw. I like to draw and do my own character. I wouldn't mind being on a company doing some artwork, but you know, most of the companies back then were all out of California, and the only major company down here was Zorlac. So I wasn't into the Zorlac thing at all because I came from this kind of Christian back family, and you know, I remember I would place at these the Shut Up and Skate. I'd win, or not win, I would like win like a t-shirt for being in a contest, or I get third place or second place in my age division, and I get these Zorlac shirts, and I would get them and I would fold them up and put them in a box. If I come home with a Zorlac shirt, they'd be like, oh, you going to hell, get out of my house, you Satan, die, blah, blah, blah. So I was not gonna get on Zorlac team, not gonna happen. So, but I guess like folding those shirts up, I can go ahead and tell you this before I get those same Zorlac shirts that I could never wear because my family would say they're satanic. I ended up selling them later in life to like some collector in Japan, bought them off of eBay, which was crazy. It's weird, people are trying to figure out like, are those real? And I think the guy looked up to somebody that knew me and go like, yeah, they're real. I had some Zorlac shirts from back in the 80s that look brand new, because they are brand new, because they're like, if you didn't wear them, you know, they'll look good forever. And the reason you don't find a lot of them around here, everybody that skated Zorlac skated those shirts so they had holes in them. Just like, I mean, I don't have any. I only have like maybe 2 Suny shirts, ADX shirts left from the 80s. But if you're a skater, you just wear everything. You just wore everything to death. So. Like with ADX and Suny, I just started out with the gear. You could find the t-shirts, and I got a t-shirt screen printing on one press screen printer, and grew from there and ended up with a 4-color press. And so you could do t-shirts, and back then you could do fanny packs. Yeah, we had fanny packs. You could do like t-shirts, fanny packs, and all this other kind of gear that you could find. You could buy from these companies to print on. Now, when I started doing boards was the hardest thing, because by this time they were doing full color boards, and it was kind of a trade secret on how do you do this. I was watching a video of, I don't know, Powell or somebody, and they was showing the guys is going through there. They said, oh, look at my big company, look at the board racks. And of course, you know, it's just a deal about the guy going through the deal. And I actually looking at this video, okay, they got board racks. And then I see the guy print one board and they just show it and go on to something else. And just looking at, I don't know who put that video out, just looking at that video showed me how to make my own board press. So I had to make this little contraption where I could like screen print one top of board, rock and screen the whole board. So I found somebody to sell boards, and I would screen print them myself. So I screen printed my own boards, and I did everything myself. I was like a one man. I was the team manager. The guy that swept up the place. I did everything to try to keep the company going and skateboarded at the same time. Well, at the Suny time, oh my God, I sponsored a lot of people. I would say I would have to start with ADX. I guess the guys that most of you guys would know right off the bat is like, of course, Mike Crum. I think Mike Crum might have been the first guy sponsored. I think he is the first guy. So before Mike Crum was on Vision and all that, you know, just a little kid showed up and I sponsored him. And his parents, for whatever reason, they like me and they let that kid go with me everywhere. So I sponsored him and we'd hop in my little Honda. This is when I finally got, it had to be 1986. And I had a Honda CRX and I'd put that kid in the car and we would go all over Texas. Like, you know, it's just like a loop of places to go in between like here, Houston and Austin and Oklahoma. And I'd take that kid with me and he'd get out the car and win every contest we went to. You know, I'd skate, I ain't gonna win nothing. I might, you know, place or get something. But Mike Crum got out of there, he was gonna win. And it's not like he wanted to win. I'm gonna go win this contest. He had that fever that I was talking about earlier. When you drop in on a ramp and you feel it and you land a trick, you feel good about that. You just want to do the next trick. So it's something inside you that wants you to keep going. So it wasn't like, oh, Anthony, I can't wait to go win another contest. No, I can't go wait to ride the ramp. And that's kind of how we thought. And that's what we did all the time. We just go skate. It was like get in a car, I had to put up with him in the car ride, which was hell. He was a little brat. He was just, I could barely drive without him picking on me. I was glad when we got this other kid named JP would come along with us. And Mike would torture this kid. I remember one time, I don't know, yeah, we were going to the skate park in Houston, and Mike Crum tortured this kid all the way to Houston. By halfway there, I got mad at him, like, Mike, you better stop. And then I just figured out, dude, we ain't gonna ever get there unless I just let this go. So I just let it go. JP screaming down the street, and I look back, and Mike Crum's got his foot on the kid's head. But I know part of it was, more than torturing JP, he was trying to torture me to see how far he could push me. And I'm like, JP, just take it. Let us get there. Anyway, that's one of many of my Crum stories. And then like other people I sponsored, the next big guy may have been John Comer. I don't know if it was John Comer or Brian Penny. It was right around the same time. But I sponsored Brian Pennington. I'm so... I need to write this down. It's in between John Comer and Brian Pennington. Because I know when I sponsored John Comer, Comer didn't stay on the team too long because Comer got good. When Comer finally got good, it was just obvious. It was obvious when it happened. But since I'm on John Comer, I need to finish this John Comer thing because like it's ridiculous. I remember the first time I met him, he had a friend to come up to talk to me. And his friend say like, oh, my friend skates. He has one leg. And I'm like, yeah. And I looked around. I didn't see nobody with one leg because he had his prosthetic. I was like, I didn't see a one leg or whatever. And John didn't say anything. And then he got on there and his friend skating. I'm like, cool, dude's skating. And he actually skated. He skated about like everybody else. But if you think about it back then, like he skating like, skating like every other kid with one leg was still like way over the top, really. I didn't really pay attention to that so much. He was a cool kid and didn't pay attention to it because I was working at Melvin. I was working at Skate Time at Melvin and Comer would show up. Whenever you skate the clown ramp, it sounds like a train or whatever. You hear clunk, 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 you can hear it skating. And when John Comer come there, we hear him skating, and then we hear a big slam. We go out like, oh, what kid got hurt? Oh, it's John slamming again, because John would go for it and slam. I don't want to say it was a running joke, but like we would be in the shop, and we knew John would there, bam, we hit this big thud. Like we had to go out, that's John Comer out there slamming, and slamming again. And I remember the first day when I could tell this was it, dude. He's on fire or something. I see John Comer out there, and then I'm doing something in Skate Time, and I hear him skating. I can hear the ramp, like, broom, 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 and I just heard it wall. I heard like, I don't know, 10 walls or something. I'm like, what? No slam? I come out there, I look again. The dude is doing every wall. He's pulling everything. And I don't know where this came from, but after that, it was over, man. He was on fire. He was landing everything. But it was just amazing how, like, you know, he was like, you see him, he's slamming, he's struggling, and then, nope, he ain't slamming, he ain't struggling now. He is just on fire. Like, even though people would be on my team, everybody who on my team was more like my friend. So it was this friend thing. And I remember when he got really good to where the companies were looking at him, and Powell was looking at him, and I think a couple other guys looking at him, and he came to me and he got real nervous, and he came to me, he's like, dude, these guys want me to get on their team, but I ain't gonna do it, man, because we're pros and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? No, you're not, dude. I was like, dude, here's the deal. My company is a stepping stone. You get on that team and you go for it. But that's kind of how John was. John had my back no matter what. He was not gonna leave me behind. And even now, like when he gets on Powell, what does he do? He gets on Powell, he still puts my stickers on his board. And Powell, he needed a board. And this is why I can tell you, like John's first board, he had me to draw the graphics, because he's keeping me in the loop. He's like, okay, Anthony, you're not on the team or whatever. He goes like, he got me to draw the board for his first pro board. And I always kind of forget about that, you know, because it's so long ago. But that's who John was. Like, I sponsor a lot of guys, you know, they get on teams, they go do their thing, and they forget. John was just not going to leave. He never left me behind, dude. It just never did. I mean, he's amazing. He's an amazing dude, because he just don't leave his friends behind. Just never did. Brian Pennington. Okay, I got it. Brian Pennington was before John Comer, because the first t-shirt I ever tried to make, that was in the 80s. John Comer started skating. His deal was the 90s when I started Suny, because he got sponsored on Suny. Brian Pennington was in the 1980s. So when Mike got on Vision and started going big, that's when I ran into Brian Pennington, which is another guy who was like joking around, cracking jokes all the time. But he was like a monster on the vert ramp. Couldn't be like, who is this? When I was doing ADX, you know, I did all the contests with Mike Crum. We'd go to all these places. So by this time, like all the skate parks knew who I was. And so if they had a demo, they would get our team to come, you know, do these demos. The one story about Brian Pennington that kind of told me who he was, I knew he was good and all this. He did all this stuff. I watched him skate. He was killing it at the skate park of Houston. He was just a monster there. But we did a demo in Austin. I think it was Corey Thornhill's parents' ramp or whatever. It was Lone Star something in Austin. Sorry guys, I'm forgetting. I'm old. But anyway, it was a demo in Austin where Tony Hawk was at this demo. So they told my team to come up. Like it was ADX. So, you know, I go somehow get Brian. I don't know if I went to get Brian or we met there. And we show up at this Tony Hawk demo thing and we're skating. I'm laughing there because, like, Brian Pennington can hold his own with anybody, you know. And then me and some other guy, and me, yes, I was at a demo with Tony Hawk. It was like Tony Hawk and me, whatever, and a bunch of million kids came to see Tony Hawk, which was kind of weird. That freaked me out. Tony Hawk drops in, does his Tony Hawk thing, which is always amazing. It just is. He gets off the ramp. You know, no one wants to follow it up, but Brian Pennington would drop in. And Brian Pennington was trying to make a name for himself. And Brian Pennington was going high as he could. And Brian does Brian does the highest ollie air to fakie so high. I just remember looking up, him being in the trees. And sometimes when you do an ollie air to fakie, you land close. He did an ollie air to fakie and he was way out in space. And I just remember being like, he's too freaking high, dude. And his board was kind of like floating under his feet. And I wrote about this on an Instagram post. It was like time stopped because he was so high up, and I could just focus on everything. And as he starts falling, he pulls it, man. I'm like, what did I just see? You know, that's who Brian would. If somebody's gonna do a highest backside air, he was gonna do a highest ollie air to fakie. So whatever trick that somebody's gonna do, he was gonna do a different trick, and it was always gonna be bigger or something. And that was a contest with Tony Hawk, and I had to tell you, like, when I was skating with him, like, okay, I don't know if I followed up Brian or Tony or whatever, but I did. I would drop in and try to do a little air, try to do the biggest air I can, and I fell, and now I'm off the ramp. I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to, like, okay, do something, or just go as big as you can so that bigness can fall and you just walk on off to the side. So that's my demo with Tony Hawk. So it's weird. Tony used to get like, people didn't like him because he won all the time. But that dude, he was a cool dude. But it made me see something I've never seen before. I don't know how Tony Hawk puts up with it, but Tony remembers you. Like, he would always come through town. He remember, hey, what's up, dude? He remember everybody and, hang out, have fun. But he could not hang out and have fun because when he finished skating, there was 1,000 kids over there that he had to do this autograph. And then also sometimes it would be like, everybody would gravitate and follow him like that, which means there's a vert ramp there with nobody on it. And that's that other fire where no matter what's going on over here or there, if you can get on this ramp and skate, that's what you did. And so it was like, he would take all that there and then you could just skate. But then I felt really sorry for him because, I wanted to hang out with him. He could hang out and we catch up with people he hadn't seen in Texas like that. But no, he had to be over here signing all that. Now, I guess it turned out great because I see all your Instagram posts that look great, dude. But I just kind of felt sorry that it felt like he had to, be over there and signing all that stuff and he couldn't be with the skaters hanging out, and stuff like that. So that's he's done very well. But I just remember, man, that really sucks that he has to go through that, Suny got really big. Well, I was like, Suny got big, the name got big. I stayed broke. I made a lot of mistakes back then. I think it was a South Shore distributor wanted to pick up Suny, and they told me how much they were gonna pay for each shirt and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're crazy, because I'm selling to Fast Forward. Like, back in the Fast Forward days, I think Fast Forward started in the late '80s. Well, somewhere in the '80s. And I would sell my stuff to them. And actually, the first skateboarding shirts for Fast Forward, I did the design for them. And sometimes I totally forget about that. Somewhere I have like a Fast Forward sticker that I did. And so I would do stuff for them, but they were into skateboarding and they were into supporting me. So they would buy my stuff and put it in their stores. And I was doing pretty good, And it got to the point where when they got more stores, they had an order one time that was so big that where I had to come up with the money just to get the shirts to print them. But then there was another thing that happened to me where that if I had been a businessman, I would have been like, get this big order, you get this big company that's print them, and then you get less money because you got to pay them to print them, but you get the product out. I didn't see it like that. I was like, I am not going to lose $3 or $4 a shirt. $3 or $4 a shirt off of 1,000 shirts, that's crazy. So, no, I don't know if it was 1,000. No, it was close to 1,000 shirts. It was like 700 or 800 shirt order or something like that. And Fast Forward, they always helping me out, and they did this order, and I got this shirts in, and they needed the shirts in there for Christmas coming up. I started trying to print these shirts, and I could not get the order done. I remember being in my apartment, printing all day and all night, and I would just fall asleep somewhere, and get up and keep printing because I had to get this order out. They're like, where's this order, dude? And, oh my God, that's how big Suny got, to the point where I couldn't produce the stuff fast enough. And South Shore wanted some stuff, and like, I was like kind of blew them off one time, which was a mistake. But anyway, I didn't know how to. I made a few mistakes with like I said, with South Shore, where they wanted to carry my stuff, but I couldn't get the price down low enough because I didn't know that you take a smaller hit on each product, but they sell a lot of product. So, but they did pick my stuff up. They were selling it everywhere. I had a friend that was in, I don't know, I think it was in England somewhere, and he bought my Suny boards in England. What? I'm like, how did it get there? Because South Shore is a distributor, Anthony. So I was more of a skateboarder and an artist and not a business person. So it got pretty big, and like I sponsored a lot of kids around here locally, and met a lot of people, did a lot of demos, and by the time that I quit doing Suny, that's when, you know, skateboarding has these cycles where it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. I had a really good year at Suny where it's going up, and then I take a bunch of money, I put it into advertising, and by that time the bottom of them fell out of when you're throwing whatever money you had in advertisement, and then that was it. I don't want to say that was it. I was like, I just couldn't afford to do it anymore. I've talked about my toxic family before, and that kind of had a lot to do with me stop doing my company. I can't really get into I could get into it, but that would be like 20 hours with a shrink trying to figure them out. So it's like pointless, but some efforts through them and whatever had made me lose my silk screening equipment. So I had to quit doing it because, you know, of course with skateboarding, the cycle goes up and goes down. And when it goes down, you kind of retool and do something else. Like I would do screen printing for the city of Dallas and other organizations like that, you know, when skateboarding wasn't good. And after I lost my silk screening stuff, it's no more doing that. So I quit doing, I pretty much, you know, just kind of left the whole business thing behind. But at the same time, I never stopped skateboarding. But skateboarding was, you know, in a weird sort of way, what I did was skateboard, and all this other stuff was on the side just to, I don't know, help me keep skateboarding in a weird sort of way. It was late 90s to early 2000. And I think the oldest Suny, one kid on the Suny team actually had parents like me. My Suny stuff was kind of racy, I guess, so he could not wear it. So he had all this Suny stuff left over. This is 1998. I think that may be the oldest one. Yeah, 1998. This is one of the Suny shirts. That's that Three Sisters of Suny thing I was talking about, girls. I mean, like, yeah, they're cute, but girls skate now. I understand, girls. This is one of my first designs where the first design, I actually drew this design on a computer, and like my original drawings were all hand drawn. And this was like those are the designs later on when I started drawing in a computer. It took me a while to draw on a computer, but now I can draw on a computer and make it look exactly like it's hand drawn. And it took me a while to get to that level, but I figured out, you know, how to do it, and, you know, what kind of techniques to kind of get that kind of feel. It's weird, I had all of my stuff that I usually save everything, and somehow I ended up losing some of it. And let's see, this might be, oh shoot, this is the original. Oh, let me put some white behind it so you can see it. I'm not sure which side, but can you see that? Yeah. That's the original Suny design, first Suny design, Battle Angel. And this is actually the Battle Angel character. I hand drew this, but that's a hand drawn just from like the real jacket, which means like, no, you shouldn't put this on the shirt because it's the original. And then after that, I started drawing my own characters, and I have, this is like these actual little magazines that I made, and this is like the first real sister of Suny. And you could say like, she's similar, but she's different. And I didn't know in Battle Angel, the character put blood on her face as a marking, but also in most Japanese animation character, they would put different markings on people on their faces so you can distinguish the different characters. And so all of my characters had like a different, like, you know, facial something mark or something on their face. So you would buy a skateboard, and inside would be this booklet, and, you know, like, I don't know, with probably like a little horrible story that I was writing. Like, I wish I had like the new smartphones now that can correct everything you do. My writing would have been a lot better. Like, these books don't have a date on them. I wish I had to put a date on them, but these actually are the original books, because I had these little things made up to sell with the Suny stuff. Like I was almost into the motorcycles and anything kind of high tech. And so I was into like the whole Japanese thing, but I also like the kind of high tech bike stuff and drawing stuff like this. Anything kind of high tech with something cool on it. This was one of my brochures. I tried to make some brochures. I was like this stuff I would just make up myself. I don't know how to do this. With the Suny stuff, I actually got to the point where I was actually going to start. I wanted to do like an animation deal, so I actually painted a few cells so I could start doing cell animation just to find out. Oh, to paint a cell and to do all the work to paint a cell one cell might take an hour or something to paint, and I'm going like, and you need 30 frames per second, all that, and no, it's not going to happen. Anthony can't do it. And so I kind of gave up on doing my own animation, but also I found out later when you get older, like even if you're going to do your own animation, you got to have a good storyline and a good scene layout or something like that, and figure that out. And learning that you need to figure all that out is really hard to do. Because even with Suny, I had a Suny website where I did a little Skater Girl game, and the game was, I mean, it's kind of fun to me because I'm the one that designed it and programmed it. But at the same time, even doing like a little game, a little skater game, it's the same way you got to design the gameplay. If the gameplay ain't fun, what's the point? You just spent a whole month, 2 months designing and programming something just for somebody to go, oh, this sucks, and they just go on to the next thing. Oh no, man! I'm like I knew it's weird. I've been around so long to where every generation of kids, like the guys that started the shop, they're just some little skater kids that saw me around, and I was like skating with those kids, and they said, like, come over. Like I had no idea. Like I started, like I was in the Oak Cliff, then I started going to the clown ramp and all that stuff. And the shop guys, I think were in Duncanville or somewhere around there, I forget. And I didn't know that there was just a group of skaters out that way. And I started kind of hanging out with them and met the guys, PJ and some other guys. And they kind of looked up to me back in the day, and that's kind of how I met them. And when they did the shop, of course, you know, I'm over here and hung out with them and stuff like that. So I just kind of, I wasn't a part owner. Of course, I skate and they know me. So whenever they would have a function, they'd call me up and like, hey, Anthony, come over, you know, and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I know those guys. I still hang out with PJ today. I never quit. Like I told you, like there was periods where I was literally the only guy skating. Now, I don't know if that was because sometimes I would skate it late at night downtown, or I just didn't know when the guy skated, because a lot of times I would skate around downtown and all through Oak Cliff, there's these long snake run ditches. I would get in my car late at night and I would go and just skate these ditches by myself. So there was a period where I thought no one skated. I don't know how many years that went for, but I just never stopped skating. It was something about skating where I didn't need anybody to skate with. I can skate with somebody or I can skate by myself, you know. So I don't know, that could have something to do with the whole toxic family thing, like getting away from there, because skating, your mind's not on that. But I would just skate. And the weirdest places I've skated is, I remember, well, I did that with my friend too, but I would do it by myself, as skate DFW Airport. DFW, you could skate all along you could skate all through the lobbies and all through the side. This was before September 11, guys. You could skate out there. Cops see you skating. They don't care. There ain't nobody out there. It's the world's biggest airport, and a lot of the places were vacant. So I used to go out there. That place was like a huge skate park, except for you would skate hours just trying to go from one location to the next location. So I would skate there by myself a lot. Like, to be an old skater, nothing really changes. I swear, nothing, like mentally, nothing changes. Like, I skated yesterday, went to the point, I skated really slow because I looked at the video, But as I was there, I was like, I just didn't want to get hurt, so I just did a couple kick turns and stop. But inside my head, like if I really wanted to, I would do a run where I would do rock and roll, backside disaster and do all that. No, I can't do that. I could try it, but I could get hurt just like that now. And when I pop my board out, I have to remind myself that you do not try that, because when my board is out, I think I'm like 30 something years old, which is weird. 30 used to be old, but now 30 is young. So I would think I'm like 30 or 20. And so it still feels the same. I skated 4 down a few days ago and I dropped in on a bowl, did some carves, and then I was getting high on the ramp and I just went up for a regular frontside turn, like close to the coping, not grinding, I was just gonna turn. And somehow I lost control, shot my board out, tried to do the splits. The problem with doing the splits now, you're old, so you're not limber, and it tried to split, and somehow my legs stopped splitting because it wasn't gonna happen, and that was it. So being an old skater is, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, you're gonna have to stop, and I see some guys that are really ripping really hard. Some of the younger skaters look at me as being their age, but they don't understand, like, dude, you just turned 30. I'm 57. And I have to remind myself, I'm 57, which means that's almost 60. I'm like, 60-year-old people don't do that. Well, I mean, people almost 60 don't do that. So it's still freaking me out. Like, if what? 60? But like, even like today, I'm probably gonna go skate somewhere. But I don't skate as much. I'll hold back. But since I used to sponsor kids skating, me not skating, it doesn't affect me like other skaters, because I can have fun watching people skate. I can literally like go there, I can drop in, do a kick turn, and step back and watch people go off and dream about, like, it's weird, I still have this deal where I think about skating too much, And I might as well go ahead and put this in there. This has everything to do with what you said, what does it mean to be old and skate? Because I discussed this with my best friend James. He is the same age as me. He quit skating in the 1980s because he had a daughter. When he had his first kid, he was like, I got a kid, I gotta go earn a living. And that's what he did. So he quit skating. But he still has this one disease that I have. And it's a disease that I was going to try to give this disease a name. Something simple like, everywhere I go, and I'm not making this up, I'm walking down the street, I see a curve here, and a curve there. I have no intention of trying to hover that and ollie bump that or whatever, but I can't quit skating in my head. Every curve I'm like, that's skatable, oh, that's skatable, oh, that's skatable. Oh, like if there's a square wall, that's cool. Oh, you could wall ride that. And so everywhere I go, it's like sometimes it's maddening because I see so many things to skate. It even gets to this point. I'm at the tail at the bank and I'm getting ready to count my money. At this tailor, it has like a little transition you can skate, and my brain is still skating. So it's the weirdest thing being a skater for so long, where your brain, you just never stop skating. It's almost like a maddening, I want to say it's like a sickness, but no, it's not a sickness because you have fun going like, man, if I hit the transition right, how high could I go, or how far could I ollie, or something like that. So it's weird. I still live my whole life like that, just looking at everything to skate. But for me, some people, they have a hard time with it because, like, it's going to be over kind of deal. But I have fun watching. I can watch skating and have the same amount of fun, Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I want to say it's weird. It was a kind of a hero to everybody because it was like, it was weird how good he was, and he was supposed to be handicapped, and that still kind of weirded me out to this day. When I say that, it's like, I would tell you, when I met him, the guy said, oh, that's the guy with one leg or whatever. But you didn't notice it, especially when he got good and he was skating. You really didn't notice it, and you can find yourself forgetting that he had a fake leg. And I've known him for all these years. I remember him being in a contest and took his leg off and threw it at something as a joke. And it kind of shocked me because I forgot that he had a fake leg, because I would and you just forget because he was that good. joking around like that, but I still remember him doing that. And it shocked me, and I'm like, what? How did I forget that? And I know the dude. Later on, when he got back, I think this is when he got back to Dallas. No, this may have been before he went. Me and Amy and Ty and some other guys, we went to Six Flags together. And this was one of the first time I really kind of hung out with him. And he's getting out of the car, and we start walking to Six Flags, and he's limping. And I'm thinking like, why is he limping? Because he has a fake leg, like since we always on the ramp, we always skating contests, you forget it. So we're going in there, he's limping around, he's got a limp because he's got the fake leg, got to deal with it. And he has probably one of the first fake leg, which means the shit never fit right and all this kind of stuff. So he made everything work. He always made that thing. He always figured out a way to make it work. And Ty was there, and like we were going on all these rides, waiting in line. And now this tells you how we thought about John. One guy started thinking he said, "Aren't you handicapped?" And John goes like, yeah. So we figured out the deal is if you're handicapped, you get to walk in front of all the people. We're standing in line. And till one guy figured out oh, you can be handicapped. Well, yes, he's handicapped, but we're thinking, oh, you can be handicapped because we no, he ain't handicapped. But yeah, we're going to work this. So the deal is we go up and he's like, look, I'm handicapped. So they give us all handicapped bracelets. So all his friends get to go with him because he's handicapped. We rode everything in Six Flags in about, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. You got there for hours and hours. No, we rode everything twice till it got tired, and all these other people would see us just walking by, and we having a good time. I remember some of the people being kind of furious, like, how did they get to go in front of us? But anyway, that kind of tells you who John is, and this whole fake leg thing is like, he's with a lot of people. We just didn't know it. We had no idea. Yeah, we knew he had a fake leg, but it's not something I guess we looked at or dwelled on. So, yeah, his brother gave me one of his prosthetics, foots, one that he didn't break because he used to break those things all the time, man. So that's weird. That was weird having that here, and anyway, it's weird talking about it because I'm still not there on him gone. I guess I don't know how to explain it. Because when I see some post or some guy talking about it, I guess I'm talking about it, it's kind of upsetting. But it's not upsetting if I'm talking. I don't know how to explain this because this is, I don't know. No, I don't plan on resurrecting anything, but I do do these little Instagram videos which are fun. So every once in a while I see somebody that I haven't seen. I saw this one kid, Jalen. Yeah. I've seen that kid before. I remember seeing him. I put it in the video, but I seen that kid skating, man. He was horrible, man. That dude would he would do the earliest early grab and he'd slam. And I'm like, what is this kid doing? Why is he in this contest with these other guys? I was like, what is this? And he struggled, but he was in there. And I still see this kid around, still skating or whatever. And then I see him a few days ago, and this dude is freaking ripping. I'm like, he's completely different skater. He's badass, And I know he worked to get there, man, but it's amazing how he changed his style, because the style he had before when he was doing the early grab, if you get trapped into the early grab stuff, you'll never be able to make that progress to ollie pops and all this. Well, he done slapped that early grab stuff and gone. Now he's on it, dude. It's just weird watching him. And one other guy, he was never on the team, but you asked me about restarting a team. I actually almost started to do Suny again back in the day. Not back in the day. Well, I guess everything is back in the day now. Because I saw one skater, but I didn't know how I just knew no, I can't go down this money train. But one guy almost made me do it. And it's probably the most polished, badass skater I've seen in a long time was Keyshawn. And the Keyshawn thing is a weird thing for me to talk about, because John Comer, we were butting heads over this kid. John, I don't like the guy because of this. Well, I'm like, what, John? what are you talking about? And we would battle over this kid. But so me and John would talk about this kid all the time. But what drew me to Keyshawn was we were at this is when I could still skate a mini ramp, which means, I wasn't gonna come in last place or something like that. But it was a demo. It wasn't a demo. It was like maybe a warp tour or something. And this Keyshawn kid shows up. He's just some kid skating. He does the best mini ramp run I've seen in a long time. And the way he did it told me like, whoa, this dude is the real deal. And some other guy was like, I don't like him because he's like an athlete. I don't know why they would, like, some other people were like down on this kid, but I was like, here's what he did. He dropped in on this mini ramp, and when he started doing this run, he actually did like some Jeff Phillips stuff, some Jeff Phillips straight leg stuff, and then he did like some street tricks too, like some ollie, possible, whatever they were doing back then. It's stuff I can't do. So he was like, he did all this in a line. And the reason it was so special is because mini ramp skaters only do a set number trick. They only do this trick. And these street ripper guys, they'll get on the ramp, I can do a kick flip. So they'll do a couple of axis stalls and do a kick flip and done. Or they'll do a ollie impossible something and land it and everybody go crazy. No, Keyshawn did all of that in one run. He did a mini ramp and a street run in one run on that ramp. And I was like, what is this? I was like, and this dude is not, he wasn't sponsored there. I was like, this dude is not sponsored? I was like, what the hell is this? What is going on here? That was the only time I actually thought about doing another company. If I had the money, I would have did it just to sponsor this dude at the time. And that was like, I don't know, that was so long ago. And there was a contest. Yeah, Keyshawn, if you hear this, I was skating against you. I was skating to win until I saw you run. But anyway, that's a special guy that's like, out of all the special people that I've seen, Craig and Jeff and Dan Wilkes, and then you had the Mike Crums. Can't leave out Mark Roach and, God, man, there was a slew of guys back in there, like the Jason Kings, and then later on, Richard Angelitas, of course, John Coleman, Mike, like all these people. And then another guy I kind of missed, but I don't know if he was here, like Josh Kalis was a guy that I seen around. Like at first, every time I seen him, he was always all rapping dude, like some cold with his hat on the sidewalk, and some people didn't like him. And I was like, who is this dude? And I saw him, we were at Jeff Phillips Skate Park, and he did like, it was a bank to bank, and he was doing tricks from bank to bank, and he was landing. I was like, oh, I see what y'all talking about. I could see it in him when that one session, I saw that in him. He's a special guy, but that Keyshawn was like, he ranks up there with all the big Texas guys that I've seen. And I mean, there's a lot of good skaters here. Don't get me wrong, y'all. I'm just from Dallas. I'm only seeing the guys that I see. But the guys I see, that guy, he's up in that big chunk of bubble of legendary skaters. So I don't know what to think. Like, well, I mean, if they're gonna do it, was it gonna be street or vert or what? You know what? I guess it's great, except for we already got street contests. We already got like vans and everybody do. We got all these contests. So yeah, I guess the Olympics need kids to go to it if they want it, because like, I mean, most kids I know, they're just not gonna go for cross country skiing. They're not gonna do it, And of course, like the skiing stuff, I know it. Here's what irks me about this whole ski thing. I seen a ski, like they're using skateboarder names for some of the ski tricks. It may be some of the snowboarding tricks, but it ticked me off. I seen some guy that was on some skis and he goes up and he goes off the nose and does a flip. And the lady said he did a nollie. Excuse me, a nollie, you have to know how to click the nose and pop your board into the air, and the board sticks to your feet. That's what makes a nollie. If it's strapped to your feet, it ain't a fucking nollie. I'm sorry, it's just not. If it's strapped to your feet, you can't do a nollie, and you can't do an ollie. So anyway, sorry, I like skiing, I like snowboarding, but you can use some names, but just don't use those names, because every skater knows you have to learn those fundamentals before you can do anything, because a nollie is, if it's strapped to your feet, it's not the same. It's just not. Sorry guys, sorry if you ski and all that, but just leave nollies, ollies alone, whatever. Early grab, yeah. So, but yeah, I saw that. I heard that and I like damn near fell out of my chair. I couldn't believe he did a nollie with it strapped to his, anyway, no. Well, I mean, of course, Mike Crum has a skate park, and I like, as long as Mike Crum's in town or whatever, he has his park, I can go, a lot of times I go to 4 Down, and you guys will see my video at 4 Down, but what you don't see, I go to 4 Down, and I film a little, and then I edit a bunch of stuff, and it looks like Anthony was at 4 Down skating all day. No, Anthony was at 4 Down, and Anthony skated for a total of 1.5 minutes. You know, like, now, okay, the last video I skated for about 15 minutes, but most of those times, 1.5 minutes. So I would go up there. I really like to go up there and just hang out and see Mike, but I love the dude, so I have to go and see him. If like, there's some people that just go see him. Hey Mike, I don't care if we don't hang out, I just got to see you, that kind of deal. And so as long as I go to the skate park and see him, it'd be good. And every once in a while, I'll go out to Vandergrift because I want to land a nollie heel flip on a sunny, I'm going to find a sunny day. I'm going to go out there and land it. But the problem is, to really be dedicated in landing any trick when you're my age, is you have to be able to fall and know you're going to fall. The problem with me is I cannot fall, meaning I don't know how to fall. When you, like, normally when I fall, I'm skating, I fall, I have a cat-like reflexes. No matter, you could push me in the air, I can fold, I can spin around and get a safe place and grab myself. Right now, I can't. You could push me, I might fall back and hit my head because I don't have the reflexes to get around the fall. And that's the hardest thing about skateboarding now. You go up to do a trick, and if you don't have a way out, your way out is to knee slide out or fall out of or roll out. But can't fall out or roll out because the minute I go to falling, I don't know if it's gonna boom, I'm gonna break my wrist, or I'm gonna slide out. Cause like at 4 Down, I did the splits and I made it out of that. And I did fall another time where I went forward and I actually slid out. But if I didn't slide out right, I would have broke my arm or my head. So every time I skate, there's that looming thing there. That's why you'll see me, I skate, I still drop in, do some stuff. And I just try not to push it because there's a part of my head that would want to go for it. And if you go for it, you end up in the hospital. You know? Here's the funniest thing. Jeff Bauer in the 1980s, he was that old dude skating. And I remember that, like, he could drop in and on the clown ramp and skate. And he was old man skating at 30. And now that I'm an old man, even when I was 40, we're doing more than Jeff was doing there. And now even like Robert Buckley, he's like 50, and they're doing like 4 lines of skating like back in the day when Jeff was doing that, and we thought Jeff was old then. But now Jeff is still skating, which is even bizarre because he's, what is he, 60 something? He's 65 and still doing that. And so it just keeps making the older skater, what do you got to be older? What is he going to be skating at 70? I know I should quit now or something, but if he's still skating, maybe I can keep doing it. I don't know. I don't know how this works, you know. But Jeff, he's geared up. He puts on all his pads, is good. The problem with me skating is I don't wear pads, I don't wear helmets, I don't wear anything. I like in the 70s, you know, we had pads, but in the 80s, I skated like the 80s skaters. In the 90s, I was sponsored, I skated like them. And so in the 2000, around that area is when people quit wearing pads. So I quit wearing pads. So, and we was riding a particular type of board. Now I'm kind of stuck in that popsicle board deal because people are riding the bigger boards, but I'm kind of still stuck in this bubble. And for me to put on pads, you know, this is stupid. It's stupid, but it's true. If I put on pads, my knees don't bend well. And in skateboarding, you need to bend and flex. And if I put on all my pads, I'm so stiff I can't move. So I don't like putting on pads so I can still be limber and skate. So it's one of those kind of like, you need to put on pads so you don't get hurt. But if you put on pads, you're gonna get hurt because you're too stiff. So I just don't wear pads, and knock on wood, I don't get hurt. So I don't know. Well, the problem with the big boards is back in the 80s when ollies came around, and then when kick flips came around, those boards were so big. I remember I would try to do a kick flip, and I would kick the board, and the board would chop me in my shin. I still have marks and bruises on my shin, and now that I'm old, I got these weird bruises on my shin, and it's exactly where the skateboard. So I think somehow like some areas on my shin are just permanently damaged from all that skateboarding, and the board chopped me in my shin. And when the thinner boards, I guess the 7-inch, 7.5, it went down to 7.5, but I can go back up to maybe 8 something. But when that shape came around, it just kind of opened it up for ollies and all those kind of flip tricks. And I'm still stuck in that because I can still do a nollie hill. I haven't landed it, so it don't count, but I'm still spinning it. So I gotta land it so I can say, yeah, I still do a nollie hill. You know what I'm saying? I can still do it, but I haven't. So I gotta land it. When I land it, I can still say it, but there's no way I'll be able to do it on these fat boards these guys are riding in the bowl. I just can't do it. And another thing about some of those boards, they're so big and wide. When you're old, it's kind of harder to bail off the board. So if it's so big, you can't get off the damn thing and not get hurt. So I'd rather have a small board I can at least eject myself or slide off the edge and just get off the board, you know. Only other thing that really keeps me in shape now is riding a bike. That's the only thing I can do. Oh, that's the only thing I can do is ride like trails, not like up and down trails, but like flat trails and a distance. I can do that at the same rate as I get my heart rate up and everything. So I do that more than anything, and I have less chances of falling. Okay, hopefully you can edit some, because I know I talk really weird and funny sometimes. Because I try to edit my own self, and I'm going like, what did I just say?